Hey guys, this is Dragon. Today I want to discuss Bellower and if he should be your first 6-star or not. Common knowledge around Raid is that he shouldn't because he's too gear intensive to farm 12-3 Brutal reliably in early game. And I want to show that it can be done. Before we get into that, let's go over his kit and his stats a little bit. He is a rare from Ogren tribe and his kit consists of 3 AoEs. His A1 is an AoE that has a 20% that can be booked up to 30% chance of placing a block cooldown skill debuff for 1 turn. This can be pretty useful in arena and dungeon trash waves as well. His A2 is an AoE that has a 50% that can be booked up to 75% chance of placing a 15% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. And again, this can be useful in arena and speeding up your dungeon runs. His A3 is an AoE that has a 75% can be booked up to 100% chance of placing a 25% decreased attack and a 30% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Now these are the small versions of the debuffs, but they can still be pretty useful in arena for setting up for your in-game nuker while doing a good amount of AoE damage yourself, and can also be helpful in dungeon bosses as well. As far as his stats go, he has okay HP for a rare. His attack is pretty low for a farmer. His speed is pretty good for a rare. And he does not get the 10 to 13% crit damage increase that most farmers get. And these are the reasons why people say that he's gear intensive. Because it's hard to get them stats up high enough to one-shot the first and second and possibly even the third wave in 12-3 Brutal. Now let's go ahead and get into his gear. Again, I am early game. Just to show, I'm day 40, and I've been running Bellower as my farmer for at least a week, if not more. And all his gear, it came from either campaign or the login reward you get for your first week. I've got him in lifesteal and speed, which is similar to what you would use for most starting heroes to be your farmer. As far as his gear goes, I've got him in crit rate gloves, attack percent chest, and speed boots. And if you can tell, other than a few lucky rolls on speed or crit damage, I don't have any insane pieces here. As far as his jewelry goes, attack ring is very helpful, not absolute necessary, and I would highly suggest getting a crit damage necklace. Now I did get this from stage 8 of spiders, so again, very plausible for you to farm this out of spider in early game. As far as his stats go, I try to stack a little bit of HP on him. His attack is over 2,000. His crit rate I'm still working on, but as I'll show you, it doesn't absolutely need to be 100% for it to work. And I got his crit damage up over 100%, which is kind of what I would consider the baseline for his crit damage. Now, the key to this is his speed. I made sure to stack up as much speed pieces as I could. That's why I got him in a speed set. Because you want him to go often and constantly heal himself from the lifesteal procs on his AoEs. And as far as the speed goes, for a starting hero to be your farmer, like Kel, Elaine, or Aethel, you know, anything that's sub 1 minute is pretty good for early game. And as I'll show you, I've got just him and some food here, and he's gonna run it pretty quick. Now, people say he's too gear intensive, and they're right. As far as getting him to to be an in-game farmer and to one-shot these first couple waves at least, it can be pretty rough and requires some gear to some grinding of gear. But mainly it's all about just getting, in early game it's all about just getting it done, not necessarily in the fastest, but just getting it done reliably. As you can tell here, he will hit back to back like that. That's why speed is key. And it's also pretty nice whenever those debuffs hit during his farming runs. It kind of, keeps it consistently. Now, you've seen Lord Shazar, he crit Bellower there and got the 1-turn bomb. That's why you stack a little bit of HP on him, but it's not usually an issue. There you go, 49 seconds. To be honest, it's kind of a little slow for him. Let's run it back, see if we can't get a slightly better time. And to help increase your times, I would highly suggest that you do book up his skills. He's a rare, so it's a fairly cheap investment. You would be doing the same for Kale or, you know, Eighth, or if you used one of the starting farmers, you'd be doing the same for them. And he's fairly versatile. When I was going over his kit, he has, you know, every one of his skills has a debuff associated with it, and they're all fairly useful for in early game, especially for arena and dungeons. Now it looks like we're making pretty good time this time. We got an AOE proc on the speed down, which can be very helpful, and actually that's gonna make him finish up this wave in a little bit shorter of time span. No, might get it the exact same, 49. So it was a little bit of a slow run, but still pretty effective. Now as you can see, it works. It's pretty consistent, and it doesn't take an insane build. Now let's go ahead and get into more of a mid-game to end-game build. Okay, so we're over here at Dragon Boots. This is my first main, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at my Bellower I have over here. Now this is the more traditional in-game build for him, pretty much focused on attack, crit rate, and crit damage. And he's more or less designed to one-shot all the waves. Now I don't quite have his attack up high enough to one-shot the last wave, but I'm getting there, and it's still a very reliable build. This is what they mean by gear intensive. It requires him to have immense amount of attack, of course, you know, close to or at 100% crit rate, and as much crit damage as you can stack on him. As far as gear goes, I've got him in as much you know, attack and crit damage sets as I can. I have a little bit of a broken set right here. I'm kind of trying to tweak him to push that crit damage a little more and his attack a little more to get that last wave one-shotted. As far as the main stats on the bottom artifacts, when you're really trying to push the you know, the damage out of a hero, you usually try to go with crit damage gloves and get your crit rate from substats from substats and masteries from all the other gear. As you can tell here, I got some halfway decent crit damage gloves. His chest is attack 6-star with some good crit rate rolls on that and a little crit damage. And this is one of the few occasions where you don't necessarily have to use speed boots. I've got attack boots on him. I do need to get him up to 5 or 6-star. And they've got a couple, you know, rolls on crit rate and crit damage. That is one of the pieces that I'm farming for now for him to replace. As far as jewelry goes, you want attack, and I did this for defense because I utilize him in arena, and it's got some good attack rolls on it. And of course the crit damage necklace, which again also needs upgraded. As stats, to make it viable to start one-shotting at least the first 2 waves, you need to have pretty much 3,000 attack, of course the crit rate, and 150 crit damage. I've got his crit damage pushed up to 220, and so that's pretty good. Really, I just need to get that attack stat up another 300 to 500 more points. So this is more or less the basis of his gear. As far as his masteries go, I got him built as a farmer. Got the crit rate and crit damage. These right here are key for, you know, doing a lot of damage on your first hits and increase the speed a little bit. These are pretty much the same as far as you know, increasing damage. This right here is an important ability. It has a chance of decreasing the cooldown of his harder hitting skills by 1 turn whenever damage inflicted exceeds 30% of target's max HP. That's a good one to pick up for your farmers. And I went with the crit damage tier 6 for clear and obvious reasons. Since he does have a lot of good debuffs, I went with the support tree, and I grabbed up accuracy and sniper to help him in arena because he is one of my setup nukers. And that's more or less what that looks like. Alright, now that we've got a general overall view, let's go ahead and watch him work. Now this is what most people talk about when gear intensive, and the main reason is because his base stats are low, so when you're putting on them percentage, attack percent, chest, attack percent, boots, stuff like that, it doesn't give it as much of an increase as it would for other farming and DPS heroes. And but this has been pretty much the primary build for making Bellower, who is a rare, an in-game farmer that can speed farm for you. Now mine isn't insanely fast, but he is fairly fast. Um, I think I average like 10 to 12 seconds maybe. Yeah, this one's probably gonna be something similar to that. Uh, 15. Lord Shazar usually uses AoE there and takes the food out. Food took some turns, so um, let's see if we can't get that little sliver of health off of Lord Shazar here. But this is more or less what they mean, and it's very effective, and it definitely feels good, one-shotting each wave, especially if you get a cooldown decrease. Yeah, see, still didn't, but he did use his AoE. There's 11 seconds. So definitely pretty fast. It's very helpful for, leveling, hero leveling events and stuff like that. And that's about it for that. It just, you stack up that attack, crit rate, crit damage. Speed isn't a real big matter. He just needs to go that one turn to wipe the wave each time. A lot of people have problems with Lord Shazar at the end. He's got a pretty decent defense stat, so you have to increase that attack. If you're having problems with Lord Shazar and you've got 200% crit damage, you're probably pretty good and you need to start pushing that attack. Alright, now we're going to look at a new build that has popped up recently for Bellower. There's a few of them, but this one is a farmer-based build, and I actually just helped someone build their Bellower like that, and so we're going to check that out next. Okay, we're over here at PhoenixNation. He's a friend, part of the Chofly fam, and an original CFA member. Big shout out to him for letting me use his account to showcase the speed build on Bellower. Let's go ahead and look at his Bellower. We was actually tweaking his account, doing somewhat of a little live account review the other night, and he said he was looking to get a little more out of his Bellower, so we went ahead and went with this speed build. Here we go. Alright, now as you can see, it's definitely not a traditional type build. This is kind of a fairly new concept for the Bellower farmer builds, but as you can tell, we went heavy on speed. Of course, the stats are kind of, a little more of the classic build. We've got crit rate, attack, speed, plenty of speed stats on as many pieces as we could get. Looks like he has plenty of room to find some speed actually. But even without a bunch of crazy subs, just sets, some good boots, and a few speed subs, we was able to get his speed over 200, crit rate up over 100, and 150 crit damage, and he only has 2500 attack. So it's a little bit less intensive on great rolls and good subs and the right kind of pieces. It's just about speed sets, speed subs, speed boots. That's about it. Now, this does kind of change how you would use him in other areas of the game, but in my opinion, it kind of makes him a little better, because since he's not a crazy super high end DPS, it allows you to put him into a team and he will consistently do AoE damage or set up with his debuffs in arena and stuff like that. As far as jewelry goes, defense, jewelry, got some decent attack on it, crit damage, necklace of course, and a banner with a speed sub on it. Anything to get that speed going a little higher. I think it's like 180, maybe 190 as base speed for this kind of build, and it is an in-game farmer build. But I think it's also actually going to be possible in a solid mid-game roster, or progress through the game. So these are his stats. Nothing OP or godly like. Just 2500 attack, 200 speed if you can get there close to it, some crit rate to make sure he hits good, and crit, some crit damage stacked on there. His masteries are, a fairly simple farmer build: crit rate, crit damage, a little extra damage, or a little extra damage on it. Of course, this skill, this is a great farmer skill, and crit damage tier 6. Some accuracy. Believe it or not, I am very impressed with the evil eye on him. It's AoE, so it only decreases the enemy turn meter by 5%, but especially during the during farming, it becomes very, very useful. Okay, so again, nothing too specific or too crazy, and most of his stats come from the sets and the boots and a few subs. So let's go ahead and get into battle here and showcase him a bit. Let's see, I'd like to start with some fresh food, just so that way there ain't no complications here. Look, we'll do 3 stars, level 1, and let's get it going. Now, I would also like to, do a little shout out to Rum. He's kind of one of the Chofi gurus. He definitely keeps us up to date with a lot of content, and he's the one that mentioned this to me, and I went ahead and utilized it. 11 seconds. That's just as good as my super intense, heavy crit rate, crit damage attack build. 7 seconds, and no one went but Bellower. Let's run that back through one more time, and I'll kind of give a little commentary on it. Due to the fact that he has a crazy speed, as soon as the battle starts, his turn meter's filled up, and he gets 2 attacks in back to back. Boom, boom. That's wave 1. Wave 2, 1 shot. That's even better. Wave 3, he gets it in, of course doesn't one-shot it, and gets a second one in. Still 12 seconds. That's consistent speed, good time, and just kind of floats through farming up these this food. Again, nothing crazy. It just works. It's simple and it's effective. Now that should about do it for the Bellower farming guide. If there's any questions, comments, if you have any other interesting Bellower builds, particularly with farming, please drop them down in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe, and let me know if you guys come up with any great ideas. Till then, happy grinding, and may the shards break in your favor.